Welcome to Heroes and Droids, your guide to movies and TV shows about superheroes, sci-fi, Disney, and action. From Marvel to DC, from Star Wars to Star Trek, from James Bond to the Fast and Furious, we will review theatrical films and streaming delights you care about most. Tonight, we're reviewing The Mandalorian, Season 2, Episode 7, called The Believer. Yes. All right, I am Doc Rotten, and joining me tonight are Christopher Slattery. We call him the Slat Man. How you doing?
Fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing good. Doing good. What is that explosive called? Do you remember?
Oh, where are you going with this?
Well, we just leave that hanging right there. Also joining us tonight.
Was that a Taco Bell joke?
It might be. Podcast and Rockstar, international cosplay queen Vanessa Thompson. Vanessa, how you doing?
Tremendously sad right now because we have one episode left and there's so much that they're going to cram into it.
Yes, and you were denied Grogu this week. No Grogu.
That is why he is here with us tonight in honor and memory of the lack of his presence in this episode. It was so sad.
Yes. You mean the little green guy? All right, also joining us is award-winning filmmaker Christopher G. Moore. He is the Star Wars fan among Star Wars fans. How you doing, sir? Even got a Star Wars shirt on tonight.
I'm doing good. I'm glad I'm stuck in my home and not traveling with explosives.
Yes,
along in the jungle.
On your way to Taco Bell. All right.
Yeah, that's it. Hey, well, actually,
it would happen.
I do travel with explosives after I eat Taco Bell.
On the way home from Taco Bell. All right. We did. Okay, so let's share something. Normally we don't do this, but we noticed something on the pre-show. We're all rocking our Disney tonight.
Mm-hmm.
From Star Wars to Haunted Mansion to Mickey's Runaway to you've got the coziest. You got your Mickey Mouse.
Well, you know, I've been crying since Friday, so I gotta comfort myself somehow.
Gonna be crying for another couple days then, huh?
I know.
I don't know. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to give our first impressions about the show. We're going to talk about it a little bit, and then we're going to wrap things up with our final thoughts, a score, and a favorite scene. It's going to be a lot of fun. But what are we talking about? We are talking about The Mandalorian, Season 2, Episode 7, Chapter 15. Holy cow, that's a tongue twister. The Believer. Debuted on Disney Plus November 11th, 2020. Directed by Rick Famuyiwa. I always screw that up. Christopher, how do you say it?
I think it's Famuyiwa.
Famuyiwa,
maybe. I don't know.
He wrote it as well. The cast includes Pedro Pascal, Bill Burr, Gina Carano, Timura Morrison, Ming-Na Wen, and Richard Brake. I just want to call that name out because we do a thing called Horror News Radio, and Richard Brake is in a few horror films, and also, he was in Game of Thrones as well. So a thing that Pedro Pascal was in as well, wasn't he in that? Yeah. All right. The synopsis: to move against the Empire, the Mandalorian needs help from an old enemy. Bill Burr. All right. Let's do this. Let's give our first impressions. We're going to start off with the Slat Man. Sir, what'd you think?
So I was this is such a weird first impressions for me because my first impression was I'm completely underwhelmed because I thought this episode was going to go in a completely different direction. But the moment that I actually started thinking about it, I realized, holy crap, this was a great episode. Why am I thinking that? I need to go put myself in the corner for thinking anything bad about The Mandalorian.
You gotta put yourself in the corner. I love it.
This episode was awesome. It was great. Granted, I did think that they were going to go in a completely different direction, but, you know, it's nice to be surprised every once in a while. And, man, it was tense. It had so much emotion. It had such good shooting. It had good shots from the camera, good shooting from our characters.
That's right. It did.
And, you know, it had a couple great moments between characters and a great moment an inner turmoil moment that I feel like was we could see through a helmet, which was great. So we'll talk about that when we get to spoiler
We
time.
will. Spoiler down. I like that. All right. Vanessa, you're up next. What was your first impression of episode 7?
Oh, I totally agree with everything the Slat Man's saying. I did not expect it to go in this direction, but it kind of like they slip in what this particular episode is about so slowly and masterfully through the episode that you're almost at the end before you realize what you've been seeing this whole time and the story that the moral story they're trying to tell you. And, you know, Santa hats off to Bill Burr because he did an amazing job in this episode. I am so impressed by his performance, and the way he was able to carry this episode was something I did not expect at all. So yeah, like the Slat Man saying, it's not the episode I expected, but it's the episode I didn't know I always wanted.
Oh, nice. I like that. I like that quite a bit. All right, Christopher G. Moore. What is your first impression? Are you on board with this?
Yeah, let me tell you a little story of how I am an idiot.
Oh no!
What?
I watched this episode. I loved it, but there was one part I was like, "What's up with this wind chime music in the middle of this conversation between Bill Burr and Pedro?" And this morning, I heard the same wind chime when my alarm went off. And I put 2 and 2 together, and I realized I watched it so early that morning it came out that my alarm went off on my phone, and I thought it was part of the show, and I was mad at the score composers. Like, why would you include such a
That's why I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I know. I told you guys that I'm lucky I didn't post
Oh,
it
my God.
online because I would have been blasted. It's like, you've gone nuts. You need to seek professional help.
Oh,
So I watched it again, minus my phone being an idiot and me being an idiot. And now I feel better about it. I'm not mad. So let me just get that out of the way, just to show that, like, I'm not perfect. I may win awards from time to time, but sometimes I can be a real idiot.
Thank you for sharing that.
So
welcome to the club.
there you go.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I'm a little bit imperfect, which is what makes me special.
Perfectly imperfect.
Exactly. So other than me not being able to discern a phone alarm and the score to a movie or a show, I loved it. And I think a lot of people, when it comes to film history, I don't know if you guys have ever seen, there's a 1953 French film called Wages of Fear that actually won the Palme d'Or and won like best film of the BAFTAs. It was later remade in 1977 by William Friedkin called The Sorcerer or Sorcerer.
Yes.
And that story was about them having to take nitroglycerin throughout the jungle and having to travel at a certain speed and having to travel all through all kinds of weird, dangerous places, not exploding. And I love that that not only do they take inspiration from samurai cinema and westerns and all these different places, but they also take things from a well-known French 1953 film. There's elements of Fury Road, Mad Max Fury Road in this. And I think also I just love, because you have this underlying conversation about how, if you think about it, the Empire and the Rebellion are they're similar. They're basically two sides of the same coin if you think about it. They're both invaders into different cultures and places or whatever. And that brings up a lot of interesting issues with that. I think this is the first time you've ever seen the Imperial side of this war and how they're just no different than the Rebellion. I mean, this is probably one of the few times you've actually cheered for TIE fighters showing up, or you saw like the Imperial forces cheering for them, almost like the end of New Hope when they exploded the Death Star. So I love that aspect of it. And I agree with what you guys have said about like Bill Burr and stuff. I saw a side of him that I never thought I'd see, because I think a lot of times he could be a real one-trick pony with his comedy, his observational comedy, how he's cracking jokes on people and cracking on things. In this one, you actually see a softer side. You see his abilities as an actor to be very subtle, but at the same time convey through his physicality as an actor to show you like, oh, well, that he does feel some remorse, or that he's getting mad about something, or he's having to hold it in, those type of things. So yeah, there's a lot of great moments in this. It definitely, I just like Chris, I did not expect it to go. I mean, I think we all thought, oh, it's going to be this whole big thing about spraying him out of prison, but that happens in like the first few minutes, and I'm like, whoa, this show continually throws my expectations out the star window, and keeps me guessing as to where it's going to go. And you have this really interesting action sequence. You have a sequence that feels like a Tarantino film towards the end, where it's just all conversation, but there's such a tension and a build. It builds to where like, oh, this is not going to end well. And you get some callbacks to other things. There's a moment that's a nice callback to Attack of Clones, which gets a lot of hate for some reason, and I like that element as well. So yeah, I really love this. It's now that I've got the wind chimes out of my head, and I can watch it with a clear mind and my phone off. I got to really enjoy it, and I don't know, this show really continues to surprise me, and it really makes me happy to see how well that they're doing a great job of telling this story. Some people could even see this as like a filler episode, but it's not. They're still progressing things, and you get to learn more about the characters in the process of it. You realize that a lot of these characters are not black or white. They're not rebellion or imperial. There's almost like in a gray area. And I think that one moment where he's like, we're not so different. I think he makes a reference to Alderaan and Mandalore, how they're basically different, and neither of them are around anymore. And so you have all these fights for nothing. So yeah, I think it's another wonderful episode that brings up a lot of concepts that you wouldn't normally get into. It's a lot of times it's more about like bang, 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 this and that, but this one actually has an underlying meaning to it all.
Yeah, I also really enjoyed this. Was it what I was expecting? No, it definitely wasn't, because we were all like you said, we were expecting a Prison Break, and what we got, I saw it as Stagecoach. The movie Stagecoach, but Christopher brings all these great films into it. I'm like, I didn't think of that. Yeah, I just saw Stagecoach because I'm stuck in that Western mentality. That's so Western, but it. I mean, there's so many elements. I mean, we've got a great cast. Supporting characters along with them. Boba Fett has some great moments in this. The rescue, the fighting off the last two TIE fighters, or maybe the only two TIE fighters, right? Because we only ever saw two of them. There's some really, I mean, the chase scene, or the whatever that is when the pirates are trying to get the it's so well done, and has a lot going on with it. I mean, just the way Mando was like, I'm going to fight you. Like, what are you doing, man? You're going to hit them with fists when they're flying towards you and throwing bombs at you, and you're going to hit them with fists. That's great. But there's just all these great things. And then once they get in there and how they're received, and then, they have to complete their mission, and what that means. For lack of a better word, a sacrifice that, Mando has to make to get the information. He has to do something that he's not supposed to do, right? And we'll get into that here in a little bit. So I at first I wasn't, when I watched it twice. This is one there's many of them I've liked, and I haven't watched every single one of them twice, but I wanted to watch this twice. I wanted to watch this one particularly twice, because the difference between this one is it doesn't have any of those big reveals, right? There's no big character or hints or anything that we've been spoiled on this entire season, right? From Boba Fett to Ahsoka and everybody in between. And we don't get that. And I think that was my initial reaction, right? It was so it wasn't up to that bar, right? We kept saying, "Oh, the bar been rising." You know, the bar's up again. The bar's up again. But man, this is a really good episode, and I'm so glad I watched it the second time because I don't want to ignore how good this episode is, how well it's done, how well it's crafted, just because of comparison, you know, to all the great things that we've seen in the other episodes.
Well,
right?
but
I mean, am I right about that?
well, but you actually, we do have a big moment. I mean, we have the moment where he takes his helmet off.
Well, we do
in front of people for the first time.
Yeah, but that's not what I'm really talking about. And I mean, that is a big moment for
Well,
that
yeah,
character.
there's no, like,
we don't
big-
have, you know, we don't have a new Jedi showing up, or we don't have another, you know, drop of a character we've been waiting for. I mean, that's pretty much what this season's been, almost every single episode. But I think that's just my expectation, right? You're expecting all these things, and
well, I don't think you necessarily have to have that, but I think if anything, it dropped other things that were kind of like, you know, because we talked about, like, when it comes down to him and Grogu, he's going to do what's best for Grogu, even if he has to break his own code with doing things.
Yep.
And to see that, you know, because, you know, even when he took his helmet off in the first season, you only saw it for a brief minute, and you didn't get to see. Really didn't get to see, like, how he's so used to wearing that helmet, how it makes him very uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
He feels outside of his skin. He already feels outside of his skin because he's having to wear this, like, stormtrooper outfit that makes him look like Jack Skellington. But I mean, but it was so great to see him, like, he's such a badass all the time, and he's always talking at Clint Eastwood. You take his helmet off, and he's like a little boy who's been told to go stand in the corner, you know, because he's like, I mean, he feels so meek. He feels like kind of lost without that, and it's kind of interesting how, you know, then Bill Burr has to come in and save it. And I think also another moment I loved is, like, where, you know, Mando just, he sends that hologram.
Yeah.
And just like, it's not like them trying to sneak in there. He's like, hey, and he gives the same speech to him
Yep.
that he gives him in the first season, which is like, he's throwing his words back at him. It's like, damn, man, this guy is not playing. You know, he's not trying to sneak in and do some kind of stealth mission. They're going in full blast. And so that makes me kind of like that. To me, that's the shocking moment. It's like, oh, wow, how in the world are they going to go in there? Because they're going to be expecting them this time around. So to me, that was the kind of the shocking moment, is where, you know, when you let people know that you're expecting, what kind of plan are they going to do to get in there? I just don't know. So yeah, I don't know. I those kind of moments, I think, stood out to me as, like, because you can always throw some kind of moment like, ooh, there's this surprise, but that was kind of surprising in a different way. That doesn't necessarily have to be some kind of new thing, that expectation when it comes to characters or that kind of thing. So, but yeah, I can understand where you're coming from, but that's why it's kind of hard to have expectations about anything.
I think it kind of expands the story and the Star Wars universe in a different way. You know, it gives it a lot of depth. You never see the Imperial side celebrating, like, ever, and it's very strange to see them be the
Human?
backup, you know, the heroes in a moment for rescuing the truck that's made it all the way through, who those drivers are heroes themselves, you know. And it's just it puts you in such an odd frame of mind to see it from that perspective. And then, like you were saying, from the moment he changes his outfit, right, when he tells Bill Burr's character he's not going alone, they really step down his levels of fragility. And, you know, first, the demeaningness of wearing that uniform. Second, it shows his willingness to go to whatever level to make it there, right? He has to fight all these people basically by hand. And you're saying like, oh, he's like this, like he is at the end. He saw them coming and he dusted himself off and he got ready again, and still looking ridiculous, right, to us and how we normally see him. And then again, to make the choice to take off his helmet and to be fully exposed in that moment, not just from exposing his face, but exposed in the sense of like he's somewhere he shouldn't be. Everything that is happening around him is a lie that he's concocting to get the information he needs. And it really just breaks his character down so much that moment you're talking about, the hologram moment, becomes like a crescendo of him coming all the way down to the bottom of who he is and the ability to rise back up and fully express himself as the Mandalorian. I just felt like that was such a cool and strong story to tell in a Star Wars, in like a 30-minute Star Wars episode, or maybe I'm just like going too deep.
Well,
I don't think you are at all.
Well, I think it was Kevin Smith, I think, used to make jokes about like, or maybe it was one of his movies where they made jokes about like when they blew up the second Death Star, like, what about all the people that were just construction workers? You know, you don't think about all these additional people. We just, a lot of times we see them as faceless, these stormtroopers. We don't think about all these people that are probably, even when you think of like wars, like the Nazis and stuff, there was like young people that were forced into it that might not have been fully into it. And so in this one, you have all these different people of different strengths, different abilities when it comes to tech or whatever, that might have just been mechanics. They weren't necessarily killing, rebels.
That's the moral dilemma that this episode presents you with, which is not something you expect to see at all. I was expecting a son of a bitch, I'm in kind of team.
But then they did a great job of bringing it all together and showing that the people in charge just don't care about the individuals and the lives, and they show that the officers in them, they just see the stormtroopers how we saw them, as faceless numbers that don't really matter.
Heroes,
and it kind of came full circle.
Well, the Operation Cinder is actually from the Battlefront 2 game, where what's his name, Palpatine or whatever, his robot self, that after he died or whatever, had them blow up these plants because he felt like the people that were helping him didn't help him. So he blew up all these different people on both sides for no reason, And so, I think that this brings up a lot of things about war and a lot of the things that we do in our world today, how we don't think about all the different people that they're just, numbers. They don't really care about all these extra people that are not even a part of the war. Mm-hmm. Like those people in that village that if, when those people are battling and stuff, some of those people could be killed for no reason when they're just living their life. And that this was their homeland. They kind of Native Americans, any kind of indigenous people that you move in there and you destroy their land and you have your own wars and they're caught in the middle of it. So it's interesting how this show, takes a lot of these bigger ideas and thoughts and puts it in the middle of this sort of space opera, but still has some really great action stuff as well. And it is kind of funny how to go in a different direction, how Mando is so used to his armor protecting him. he wears that stormtrooper, and all it takes is somebody to hit it once and it breaks. And I love it at the very end when he's fighting him. He gets in there, you can hear him like grunting. It's like, oh
yeah,
he's all beat up.
He hurts his arm earlier on. He goes, oh yeah. Can we talk about how great Richard Brake is in this as Fallon Hess? And that great scene that you said, Christopher, was a Quentin Tarantino.
Oh, it's very Tarantino.
Man, he what a great scene that was, and it's a quiet. Basically it's a quiet scene with the three of them sitting down. It's very tense, and then Bill Burr gets that, what'd you say, it was epiphany, right?
I love how much emotion and how much is told by Bill Burr's and Pedro Pascal's face during that monologue without them saying a single thing.
Yep.
Oh, that was beautiful. They played that beautifully, and there's the comedic moments in it too. That there's
the
so
shifty
much-
eyes and
Yes, there's so much tension, but yet he's doing silly things at the same time, because is he pretending to be deaf, or is he just really dumb in this moment?
Yeah, he just doesn't know what he's out of his element. He doesn't know how to handle. But I love when he looks at Bill Burr and gives him that. What the fuck you doing?
Well, that and you have that joke moment where you see the stormtrooper walk in with the tray of food. You know, he's like, "Oh shit!
He's like, what happened?
I
They're
just
all
came
looking
here to
at
get
each
a juice box." You know,
other. What a great move too. And they even make a reference to Office Space, the TSP report.
yeah,
Oh, the TPS reports.
yeah. I heard that too. I was like, "Wow, now Office Space is canon."
That was awesome.
What a great. I love this episode. I really did. I really
Right?
did.
Well, we got to talk about Boba, right?
Yep.
He's the talk of the internet right now.
Seismic.
shiny.
Yeah.
Oh
right?
yeah, he got a
His
paint
new
job.
paint job. His new paint job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still got
So-
the dent. Still has the dent, but
Yeah.
got
So
a paint.
here's my
Get that
question: why did he repaint it then now, and he didn't repaint his armor between Empire and Return of the Jedi?
Don't be that fan. Don't be that fan, Chris.
Hey, yeah,
Hey, it looks great. I love it.
He's just like
I'm
the rest of us.
questioning why he chose now of all times to repaint it.
Maybe
Yeah,
it's like a symbol of his rebirth or something.
Wow.
you know?
I think it's just jealousy.
know.
He wants to keep up with the Joneses. Look at Mando. He's so damn shiny. I got to get the. Look at me. I got to get this painted. It smells too.
Smells like it's been through 2 generations of hell.
Yes. I got to up my game.
But-
Look at this.
But man, he was badass.
He was, and we got to see the seismic charge or whatever.
Seismic charge from Attack of the Clones. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Which
blew
is
up.
one of the badass parts of that film.
That scene made me like so happy.
I saw some people on like TikTok where their reactions to that, and they're like, "Oh, I hope he has a seismic charge." And you were like, "Whoa!" Because that's like one of the best parts of that, seeing that in the theater, just the Dolby stereo hitting you with that. But yeah, I love that. That's yeah, because when he was like, "How he's going to escape?" I was like, "Oh man, I hope he still has that." But when they used it in Attack of the Clones, yeah, it's the things like that. I love how it just integrates these things that are part of canon, and you don't think about it until they use it or it shows up again.
Just like the knee rockets.
Well,
The knee rockets is
well, that and it's like as a as a huge Boba Fett fan, just seeing the
How it
just
spins,
rotating of the ship and stuff, all that stuff. I'm just like I'm geeking out about every little thing. But oh man, there's so many great moments in this.
It was kind of funny how they were bouncing around like little rag dolls when they were trying to get away. Oh well, you can't win them all, right?
You can't look cool all the time.
So, was anybody else disappointed that Bill Burr's character didn't join? That they let him go instead?
1,000%.
Mayfield. I want him to join on the crew.
Well,
I mean, maybe he'll be in one of the spin-offs
Rangers of the New Republic, maybe.
yeah, probably right.
with Cara Dune.
He's right. Oh, see, here's what I wanted to happen. I wanted him to say, or her to say, "Hey, you can come back to my planet" or something, because the two of them, like, I want to see more of that pairing. That was good.
Or come back to my planet, or
That's like a pickup
I
line.
thought he was gonna do that way. I wish he had.
damn, that was a good shot.
She's impressed. Also, she just saw him go through this like whole. Well, she saw it, but his whole like transformation, just showing everything he'd been through from Imperial soldier to, or whatever he was with the Imperial Army. And then doing what he was doing, robbing things, and then now technically fighting for the rebels. I guess this is kind of what they're doing at this point, adjacently. And I don't know. He just had such a beautiful story arc, and I'm still so shocked that it was Bill Burr in The Mandalorian that had such a wonderful story arc like that.
It was really satisfying too, right?
Yeah, it really, really was, except for the end. Like, I'm not satisfied with the end, but we'll see where that goes.
Although I will say I did love the action sequence on the outside of the dam building. 'Cause we haven't really seen that in a Star Wars, any kind of Star Wars project. And when they'd shoot him and they'd fall off into the fall.
All their little yells.
Or just like throw them down. That was the best part.
Well, yeah, or even just like when he's fighting him on the vehicle and stuff, just every time, like the one he throws over the front of the vehicle, and you see the
Thump, 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 thump.
or he throws him off the side, and every time I'm like, oh god, that's gotta hurt.
Yeah, especially when the wheel bounces up a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh man, there's a lot. Well, we should talk about the beginning, because we did expect this to be a prison escape scene, right? But they just went in and got him. But did you see what they were doing? They were basically just ripping apart a bunch of broken down TIE fighters.
Yeah, so this is something that is actually a reference to the Jedi Fallen Order video game. In Jedi Fallen Order, the game opens with your main character being not a prisoner on a planet like that, where its sole purpose is to break down old broken machines, but actually a worker, and they are spending their time breaking down old busted Clone Wars tech. So it's nice to see that 20 some years later, after the Clone Wars has ended, they're now moving on to breaking down old busted Imperial tech, which there's probably a lot more of that than
it was a big scrapyard.
Well, that, and it kind of like plays into them breaking down the Empire to create the New Order type thing as well. So you have that sort of underlying meaning to it. Although I do love that we keep seeing these sort of like quasi AT-AT walkers retrofitted to turn into cranes and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I guess we didn't know the Empire was into recycling. I just we'll put it
well,
back.
this was the New Republic.
Well, okay.
Well, they gotta make that
that's right.
Star Destroyer planet.
Yeah, Christopher's right. Slatman's right. It was New Republic. It was a prison there. One last question. Mando gets his face scanned, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, is that going to come back? Is that going to come back to haunt him?
No, because Moff Gideon already knows who he is.
Okay, but does he know his face?
How does he know who he is?
In the first season, he was like, "Your name is."
Oh, when he had him pinned down.
Yeah.
Yeah, that Din Djarin or whatever. Yeah, he called him.
So I guess I'm assuming that might not come back to haunt him, but at the same time, he could sit there and pull up a face scan and be like, "This is who you are. You're no longer a Mandalorian. Everyone's seen your face. Ha 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 ha."
Well, that's what I'm thinking. It's
maybe, but then he'll be like, "I don't care. I'll do anything for my son."
Helmet off.
Yes.
Spear in hand.
Yeah.
He's already
Eyeballs punctured. No, that's a different show.
He's already changed his code.
Oh, mountain.
Well, he's already changed his code of conduct as it is, because before he was so like, I think in the past, if this had happened, he wouldn't be able to put his helmet back on.
Yeah.
But now, I mean, he knows that this guy knows who he is and seen his face. And
I also think that his interaction with Bo-Katan had a lot to do, or at least as far as I've seen in the show, had a lot to do with him making that decision too, knowing that she's Mandalorian and she's like, those are the old ways, or that's a different sect, and just lots of things that he's had to think about between then and now. And Boba, yeah, exactly, and Boba, yeah, first Bo-Katan, then now Boba Fett, and then leading up to what he chose to do. But what you said earlier, Chris, about him feeling like so baby without his helmet on, that when Bill Burr, he said something, he's like, I could hear you sweating, or he said something like that, and so he put the helmet back on really quickly. I thought that was very cute.
Well, that also we have that moment previously where Bill Burr takes his helmet on. He's like, I can't see out of this thing, which is a reference to actually New Hope, and I guess they've used it later in other projects. But I love that. I love the aspect. If you think about it, it's like when you have to change clothes with something, you never make comment about like, oh, this stinks or this is wet.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I love that Bill Burr. He's like, oh, this is still wet. This stinks.
Yeah.
You know, because you don't ever see that. People just put on the outfit and you don't ever think about those aspects of it. But I love that real world aspect. And I guess that's the great thing about Bill Burr, because he's going to say probably what we're all possibly thinking, sometimes inappropriate things. And I love that. And I wonder, was the episode, was this the previous episode of Bill Burr, was this directed by the same guy? I can't remember if or not, but whoever is writing for Bill Burr, and I don't know how much input he has on his character, but they're really doing a great job of writing his character where he can be very snarky but be very deep at the same time.
Yeah.
Yes. Same director.
Same director. Well, that makes sense because he directed him previously. So I kind of figured that felt very comfortable directing him again in something. And so I hope, and everybody, from what I've seen online, everybody loves his character. So I hope he possibly might show up in another project.
Yeah, he certainly won me over this episode.
Although now I feel like between this and Spider-Man, about everybody's going to show up in projects, whether it's Marvel or
oh my gosh,
Star Wars.
Yeah, now I want the Hound to show up. That's now that Vanessa's can't have a mountain. Let's get the Hound in there. All right, because I liked him on down. Anyway, we should wrap this up. Let's give our final thoughts, our score. Okay.
One quick thing. Where do you think they're going? Where do you think Moff Gideon is? Because we saw
the map.
We saw the map, and I can tell you that the closest planet near where he was where the little thing was beeping is Tatooine.
Yeah, it's somewhere between Tatooine and the inner circle, right?
Well, I have a theory about this.
There's a guy who had a breakdown on YouTube that like
he had 3 or 4 maps
at other places, and I don't.
Bruh, that guy is so annoying.
Yeah, I'm like I had to turn it off. I was like, I'm already getting.
If you name every option as the answer to your theory, yeah, one of them's gonna be right.
Yeah,
if you name everything.
It's called hedging your bets. It is close to Tatooine, but I don't think it's going to be Tatooine. But I don't know what's nearby. So.
I will.
Camino.
Camino is the one thing everybody thinks it possibly might be, because if that's considering that
tie to the clone,
the doctor guy.
Yeah. What is Camino? Is that where the big tall things were?
That's the cloning place, and so that would be the natural place that they would go, considering a lot of those officers had the same little patches as the people that worked at Camino. So that would be the natural place. But I don't know. I would also could see them actually, if they could have places that you don't know where they might have, scientific labs or whatever. I could see them having another place as well. So I don't know. At the same time, all bets are off, because we also thought this whole episode was going to be a prison break, and it wasn't. Yeah. So I don't know.
It probably isn't what we're thinking, right? So, all right. Well, it's time to give our final thoughts, our score, and favorite scene. And we might do. Are we going to do a little? Well, we're running out of time, so I don't know if we're going to be able to do that this episode about where we think the next one is. Well, maybe we will. Stick around. We'll play it by ear. But before we do, if you're listening this long, one, thank you so much, and I hope you're enjoying our take on The Mandalorian. 2, hit the subscribe button. It'll help us out. It'll help others find us. Hit the like button. That'll help as well. Leave us some comments. What do you think? And again, thank you so much. So let's do this. Let's give our final thoughts, our score, and favorite scene. We'll do it quickly so we can do some maybe kind of forecasting what's coming up next. Go ahead, Slatman.
This episode was incredible. It had awesome action. It had great shots, like some of the shots with the vehicles are just breathtaking. Yes. And some of the shots around the during the speaking scenes, like especially the Inglourious Bastard scene, as I'm going to call it now, just excellent. I loved the emotions that our characters put forth, whether it be not feeling quite right in the situation you're in, to the boiling anger as you hear the officer talking about how you were meaningless and all this stuff, to just it so much to the guy that to the one stormtrooper that when they came in with the truck that was like, for the Empire. Like it's just, this episode was awesome. I even though it wasn't what I was expecting, it was great. I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 5. I loved it.
Good
I
job.
loved every little bit of it. But hats off to Bill Burr and Pedro Pascal, because their chemistry together is also great. That's something we haven't talked about, but they really play off of each other really well.
You're absolutely right. They do, especially at that table scene. Yep.
Um,
All right. Oh, yeah.
Oh, my favorite scene.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, you cut him off.
Yeah, gosh. Can I get 2 now that you cut me off? My favorite scene is actually a little exchange between Bill Burr and Pedro, where after the whole shootout at the OK Corral happens, Bill Burr is like kind of like talking to Pedro to like calming him down. He's like, "Hey, I didn't see your face. Put this back on. No one has to know. Let's just get out and go. Let's go get you your kid." Like that was so human and so well acted, and just I loved that scene. That exchange just really stood out to me.
Yeah, he even looked away when he said that. Right? Like handed him like that. All right, Vanessa, now's your time. Give us your 5
Now it's our turn. This was a beautiful episode.
Oh, nice.
It offered so much depth that I didn't expect to see. And honestly, when I first started watching it, I was a little disappointed because I really was expecting more. And I thought like, this feels like a filler episode, blah, 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 until you really start to understand and the wheels start turning and you start to understand what's happening, the story you're actually being told. And you're like, oh yeah, dummy. This is really good. But yeah, I'm going to give this one a 5 as well, because this is really a beautiful episode. I just absolutely adore, if I can pick, a character, it would be Bill Burr and his story arc in this, because it's just wonderful. Nice. Yeah, it's absolutely wonderful. And he's so great at working well with other people, isn't he? Because you get the funny, the odd couple, right? With Mando. And then you get the two kind of like, you get that sexual rough tension between him and Cara Dune. And it's just so fun to see him kind of spattered along in our normal line of characters, and to see how he interacts with them. I really, really enjoyed that a lot. It's really, really hard for me to pick a favorite scene. There's so many great scenes in great scenes, great moments. So many that we've already, discussed. The one that Chris just picked, that's such a great moment. I think Chris, you might have been wanting this one, but I think I'm gonna take the hologram scene.
Oh, nice.
Because it's really so powerful. And he's strong and he's to the point, and he's telling him, like, I'm coming for you. Watch for me. I'm coming. And that's just so strong and powerful. And to say, to repeat those lines, he means more to me than you will ever know. It's just like he actually does. We know that feeling now. We have that attachment and that feeling, and I am so excited I'm so excited and so sad for the next episode.
Oh, one more episode left.
Yeah.
I know. All right. Christopher G. Moore, it's your turn, sir.
If you think about it, that's almost like him saying, I'm his daddy.
No, you're not wrong.
That was his I am your daddy moment.
I am your father.
Yeah. Another great episode that it's almost like another Rogue One mission if you think about it, because Rogue One was all about like finding plans of the Death Star, and this is finding where Moff Gideon is, and so and it's just as fun and impactful, and creates an action sequence they haven't really seen in the Star Wars universe that much. So yeah, I mean the whole after I watched it untainted the second time, it made me appreciate the action scenes, because I mean, like, I kept thinking, is this actual vehicle? is this CGI vehicle?
The juggernauts, right?
Which that vehicle is actually from, I think it's Revenge of the Sith. They use those vehicles, or a version of those vehicles. Yeah, and it's just a lot of the action sequences. It just makes me really appreciate what they're able to craft in this universe that makes it feel so real. Feels like you're in the midst of it, and how it can go between these big action sequences to the humor to even scenes that are just like very dramatic. That whole table scene is just amazing. So yeah, definitely a 5 out of 5 for me. It would have been less if the wind chimes were actually part of the soundtrack, but luckily that was my idiocy. As for favorite scene, there's so much to choose from. I guess I'll have to say the moment where the TIE fighters come in and they're cheering.
Yeah, isn't it great?
I think. Well, and because I've always been the Empire fan, it was good to see that side of it, because you never see that. You just see them always being villainous and stuff. You never see them being human and like cheering for each other, like, yeah, we got one, You never see that. And so to see that side of it, to where they're no different, they're just wearing different uniforms, was kind of a cool thing. And I love that aspect of it, how they had that conversation in the vehicle, and how we got to see it sort of play out in front of them, where you see everybody them saluting them and people cheering. Just like, I mean, you could easily put the end of Return of the Jedi music and and hear that music, and it would be no different. So yeah, I love that aspect of it, to where we can sort of see both sides of the coin.
I like that. That's a great choice. Yeah, I think it's all about the wind chimes, really, this show.
Shut up.
All about the wind chimes. Like I said, this is a step back as far as, raising the bar. But I think that is the best choice. I really think this is a great choice. I think a lot of people are giving it a little too much grief, for not living up to whatever expectations people have, because this is really a strong episode. It has everything you'd want. It's got the action, it's got the emotion, and it's got character development. I mean, it's all there, and it's a very tightly edited episode. It doesn't slog at all, and it has great character moments, and it's just it's nearly perfect in a different way than the previous 6 episodes have been this season. This has been a great season. I'll go ahead and give it a I wasn't going to give it a 5, but I feel like maybe I should.
Peer pressure.
I think it is peer pressure. Yeah.
All of your heart.
Yeah. I'll give it a 5. My glasses are crooked. Notice weird things when you do this live. Favorite scene. There's a lot of favorite scenes. You could easily go with that table scene, because that was a great moment. But I'm gonna
do it. You're the last one. Do both.
I do both of them. Okay.
Yeah.
My favorite cheer scene, when I was like, oh yeah, is at the beginning when they bring Bill Burr back to the Slave One, and Boba Fett comes off, and Bill Burr goes, oh, I thought you were another guy.
Yeah.
And then Boba Fett steps to the side, and there's Mando coming down, and you hear the music, and it was just so perfectly done. And, it does. The little drum beats don't start until he reaches the bottom of the the ramp, and and Bill Burr's like, oh, you're gonna kill me. I don't know. It just felt so it felt like John Wayne walking into the scene, right? And I just loved it. The other one is when there is the toward the end of the Juggernaut run, for lack of a better term, and Mando picks up the grenade, right, and he throws it at the first one. There's two of them chasing two of the little scooters or whatever the hell they were, little sky bikes, and the first one blows up, and then the second one, the guy just gives this look, right? And it's this alien face, and he goes, and he has nothing. He nothing to do. He just blows up, and I don't know. Why do I like these moments? I don't know.
Well, there's a similar moment where you think he's, killed off all these people, and then you see like
two
a
more
buttload of them, and they're all like turning on their little.
There's like 20 of them with like thermal detonators. All
Kind of reminds me of the moment where Han Solo runs in that one alleyway. And there's like a whole bunch of stormtroopers. And by the way, the only grief you should be throwing against this show is Carl Weathers' grief cargo. Just saying.
All right, so let's we're going way over, but let's go ahead and commit to it, and let's give some thoughts. Where do we think we have one episode left? We know we don't personally, but our heroes know where Moff Gideon is, and obviously they're heading there. At least that's what we would think, right? What's going to happen next week? Slapman, what do you think?
I don't know.
Are we going to see any other characters? Is it just going to be the four of them? Are they going to?
So I hope that they bring back some of the other Mandalorians and maybe Ahsoka. Like, that would be really cool. But at the same time, it would make a lot more sense if it's just the people on the Slave One heading over there right now.
Well, it would make more sense that they go directly there, right? But we know that somebody wants to find the dark saber,
but
and now he knows where Moff Gideon. I'm going to say Moff Tarkin. Moff Gideon is. Are they going to go get them first?
I mean, maybe
it would make sense, right? Maybe.
But time is of the essence. So
time is of the essence. Yes.
That's why I'm kind of. I do have a theory on how it's going to end. I have a feeling that Mando is going to get Grogu back and possibly beat, like, maybe he doesn't necessarily beat Moff Gideon, but he's able to outsmart him and get Grogu back and escape from the Star Destroyer, right? But I have a feeling that the teaser is going to be either the Doctor that was referenced earlier, or Moff Gideon calling someone else, I hope it's Thrawn, and saying, "We have the blood."
That's true. That's all they really need. Well, short term. Long term, they need more of him, right? So
yeah.
There's a lot of ways this can end. Christopher, anything from your point of view? What do you think?
I think Jar Jar is going to show up.
I hope so, man.
Darth Jar Jar?
Darth the Jar Jar.
He said choke you now.
You know what? This show.
Whoa.
He's so cute. Well, the way I think it, I think our expectations should be thrown out the window, and we shouldn't sort of figure it out. I think I think what could happen is they show up, and you think that they've shown up by themselves, but they've contacted Bo-Katan and them to do some kind of diversion.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that they'll have other people. We just won't know it until they show up.
That would be good. Yeah,
so I think that might be a possibility to where we don't have to have some episode where they go off and recruit them and stuff. I think as long as they let them know, hey, about the Darksaber, I think because of that connection, they have to be integral at some point. But
yeah, you can see it. Like
who knows?
They're face to face, and Moff Gideon goes, "Why did you think you could win coming alone? Who said I came alone?" And he steps aside, and you get two lightsabers light up.
Well, yeah,
or it's like, starships come out of hyperspace, boom, 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 surround the stars.
I I think that I think the ending could, or at least the stinger could possibly be the Jedi showing up.
Yeah,
That would be cool too.
I mean, also another thing is like maybe they did take the blood, and maybe Yoda is like, I mean, not Yoda, Grogu is weak, and the Jedi shows up and uses force healing. So there could be that as well. Because I think we know how this plays out, unless there's another strong person that has force powers that they can pull the blood for whatever they're, if this is for Palpatine or whatever. So I don't know. I mean, my thing is I'm excited because I really don't know what's going to happen. I mean, you sort of see how it might play out. I think a lot of people might be mad if Grogu isn't saved.
Yeah.
I'd be mad, but I'm sure people were mad at the end of Empire, but yet people look back at it as being the masterclass of storytelling. So
now they do.
Now they consider it the best one. Yeah, Thrawn's going to show up and say, "Don't worry, there is a sister."
Yaddle Part 2.
Yaddle. Vanessa, what do you think? Any predictions?
Yoda, can you hear me?
Force Ghost Yoda would be awesome.
That would be cool. I have no clue. No clue. But here's what I've been thinking about. I think Cara Dune notified the New Republic. She's an official New Republic marshal now. She can notify them that the Empire is back. She's seen it with her own eyes at this point. I think too that there will be an ambush scenario to involve the people she's notified and Bo-Katan and hopefully Ahsoka. That would be really cool to get Ahsoka. I'm not sure. And I really want to see Mace and Force Ghost Yoda. I think that would be such a strong message for Grogu to have that, even if we don't continue with Force Ghost Yoda, but if he's just there in that moment, it's just, this is my fan fiction, right? Because honestly, I have no clue what is going to play out. And I'm excited too, Chris, to see just whatever they do, I'll be excited about, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But if I had my choice, this is how I would like it to go. And then, everyone would go off from there with their respective shows and their adventures and their crossovers and whatnot. And I really like the idea that Slatman has. I'm going to incorporate everybody's ideas into that Slatman has about not killing Moff Gideon, because I don't think this is where he ends, right? But with him contacting Thrawn, and then that kind of story going from there, maybe into next season or whatever is going to happen. But yeah, I hope they do it all. I want to see it all.
I'm biased because I love Giancarlo Esposito, and I love every scene he's in is just awesome.
Yeah.
You never know. We might get the little bell right before something happens, right? Ding, 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 ding.
Oh no.
Okay. You have to watch Breaking Bad to know what that means.
Thermal detonators anyway.
As long as it's not wind chimes, I'll be okay.
Wind chimes up is okay. The only other option is that they go full Empire Strikes Back and they don't win.
He cuts Grogu's hand off.
I think more fitting would be is that they destroy Din's Beskar armor somehow.
You've already destroyed his vehicle, do you?
I know.
Let's hope it doesn't get to that point. I think it might be one of these things to where maybe Grogu on his dying breath and
no
like that. So you don't know until next season.
We will riot.
There could be. I mean, you really could be like you were saying, Chris. The whole force healing. The last thing is Grogu going.
No.
And then you see the Jedi come in, right?
Force Ghost Yoda.
Yeah.
What if Amy Sedaris's character pulls she's great. Pulls another Razor Crest out of her junkyard, right?
Out of her junk.
Out of her junk. She brings all the Mandos to the yard with her razor crest.
Just got a
But
stank
wouldn't
face
that-
on that
Wouldn't that be fun? That
Yes.
could happen.
Well,
So they're
Supposedly Boba Fett has a second vehicle
really
in canon.
okay.
So he
Okay.
could probably just give him his other vehicle, which
Mhm.
would probably be a totally different vehicle, but another vehicle
He doesn't
nonetheless.
get another Razor Crest, and he gets a straight upgrade.
Oh yes, upgrades always.
That'll be new toys. So why
Yeah,
would they want another Razor Crest when they can get a new vehicle?
I
they can
just
make
got
toys out
the
of?
Razor Crest Lego. Now I got to buy another one.
Yes, you do.
I know there was like one of the YouTube channels, like he just canceled his order for a Razor Crest.
Do you have it put together right now?
Huh?
The Razor Crest, do you have it put together right now?
Oh, that was a joke.
Oh, I was gonna say, you got to destroy it.
Oh no! All
I
right,
gotta fire my lasers and make Legos go everywhere.
well,
Put some thermal detonators on that.
all right, guys. We have officially gone twice as long as the episode that we were reviewing, so I suppose we'll stop here. Vanessa, Slapman, Christopher, thank you so much for joining me. This was a great discussion. I cannot wait for next week.
Can we go in a time machine, go to some like time portal and get there?
This is gonna be the longest 5 days.
I know.
ever.
Oh man! All right, we better say goodnight.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.